We are currently in a little known spot of Ohio called Bearsville or Tucky, just south of Jamestown. So this is where a lot of my acres resides, in this area here. So what we did different here is got a new toy. So we got the Turbo Max from Great Plains and did some spring vertical tillage with it. I have not done that before, wanted to try it out. So the residue that was left here was standing corn stalks, about 300 bushel corn. We came through here in the spring, hit it, tried to get the weeds up, and that was it. We came in about a month later and planted. And this is what you're looking at. So what we're going to compare is right beside here. We're going to go next, and that was chisel plowed and then with a field cultivator. Same number bean, same everything, just two different functions. So can we still keep this going even when it's saturated? And what we're using in furrow is what's helping us with this, because we have not been back in this field since planting due to all the rain. You can see all the roots that are falling off, breaking off with me. Yep. As we peel this off. Big old peanuts in there. And I credit that to the TerraMax NewTek SIIF that we run in furrow. So its main job is it's going to go in there and add nodulation. As you can see, it's working well.
So I need to stimulate a response.
I think it's going to work.
And everybody's always wants to point the finger everywhere else, but it normally starts with you.
Here we go.
This is a pretty special place to me.
Another reason why we're able to handle saturated soil so well, where we still got a nice green healthy plant here, healthy root system still going, is from Advanced Yield Lineup. We're running the Bella, which is a soil conditioner. And then the next product is going to be Exalt, which is a high percent fulvic acid, humic acid with a yucca extract. So those are the three things that we're using in our soybeans, which we've had great luck with. You can see what we started with and what we finished with. So finished product, once the mud gets done pulling all the roots off, you're not left with much. But that's okay. What I'm looking for is make sure we got the taproot heading south, side roots coming off of it, your nodulation, perfect. Couldn't ask for more. So I'm pretty pleased with this, especially with the cost of fuel. You add in the chisel plow and cultivator pass. I've only had one tool in here and a planter. I mean, the savings alone right there is going to be a lot. So something we're definitely looking to shift more towards. And you just seen it with all the earthworms that we just dug out. Don't want to disturb them. Let them go do the work for me. So these beans are happy and healthy and loving life right now. All right, so now we're on the other side of the field where we came in with a chisel plow, worked it up this fall, and then also came in and had to hit it with the Sunflower Do-It-All once this spring, right in front of the planters, and planted. So what we just looked at before was done with the Turbo Max in the spring. This with no chisel plowing, it's corn stalks. First thing I noticed, there's not that big of a residue difference. You know, I kind of shocked. I was hoping to show you guys there's going to be a lot different in residue, but you know, this was 40 to 42,000 population planted corn last year. This was over 300 bushel corn on this side. It's just, I don't know, I guess I'm more impressed now seeing this in the vertical till approach than with the chisel plow, because there's a little bit of a difference, but not that much. So I'm kind of pleased with that. Both sides were planted May 2nd. This was the last beans that we did plant. Population, everything's variable rated, so it's going to range from 100 to 130,000. I think where we're standing is about in the 115 range right now. Same variety. So it should be a neat comparison to see which one's going to do best. One thing that I did notice, though, it kind of looks like this ground's holding more water than, you know, the ground that was just vertical tilled. So I'm kind of surprised by that also. You know, we never know when come a day our government might tell us what we can and cannot do. And I don't want to have to react. I want to be proactive. So if I can stay ahead of this and try in different formats, so if I have to go where we find a better way, we can go that way. One good thing about my dad and this farm, we've never been stuck in our ways. We've always been open to adapt and try different things. We never want to sit still, be one of those farmers, well, we do it this way because we've always done it this way. There's always a better way. It's just, are you willing to find it? And I'd like to think this farm, we do a good job of trying to find a different way. Don't always work. We just call them test plots. But sometimes they fail, but that's how you learn. Like I've said before, I've always learned more from failing than I ever had from succeeding. So, don't be afraid to try different things. This is one of them. So let's get to it. Let's dig and see what we find here. We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
But on our farm, we got to average a 6 bushel better with the Revitec fungicide than any other fungicide.
Probably absent of disease just because we got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
The one thing that is a must, that's this product right here. Reducing stress adds bushels. I'm very fortunate that I've been working with Concept Agritech now for 4 years. We have 12 Concept Agritech plots out right now. We feel like we're picking up some pretty good bushels.
Oh, here's one of their flagship products here. This is their Cowboy product. It's their calcium boron premix. They do have a great line of products here. Man, this is like drinking water. I think every crop needs a gallon or two of it. It does that much for you.
These beans were planted April the 10th at 140,000 population. We see the data where 140 is probably on the high side. I still haven't gotten to the point that I want to go any lower as far as a planting population. We'll keep stands at their 65, 70,000, which is roughly, half of what we planted if they're even stands. But, even the data we've had on the farm, lower populations yield the same as higher populations. I'm of the camp that go as low as I can, but I know that I've really got one shot to make this work. We're waiting to plant our wheat beans because of this rain, and I think the data is a half a bushel a day after June 1st of yield loss. So the last thing I'd rather plant 140 is plant 100 and not get enough stand up, and 10 or 15 days later I've got to replant the field. I've lost yield. So I'd rather pay a little bit more for seed cost up front. What we've seen on the yields are roughly about the same, as long as you don't get too high. You can get to that 150, 160,000, you're probably hurting yourself. But we feel like the sweet planting spot is probably 120 to 140, and that's all dictated on the 5 to 10 to 15 day forecast. When people ask what our population is, I basically ask them what the 15-day forecast is, because I'm going to tweak that population based on that. I'm going to try my best to beat Temple, and that's my goal. Like I said earlier, I don't care if I come in 5th, 9th, 2nd, or 1st. I just want to beat Temple Rhodes. That's my whole goal.
Shake that.
We didn't plant the February beans for a yield contest. We didn't plant them for high yield. We planted them because so many people, through the Podfathers, where I talk to a lot of farmers, how early is too early to plant beans? And the only way to know that is to try it. And every year's not going to work like this year. I probably will never say that late February is the best time to plant beans, but it's a pretty special field, and we'll go check it out now. So we didn't completely count. There's spots out here where it's not like right there.
Still growing.
Yeah, but they're not going to get a lot bigger.
We got 3 more nodes. They're going to get 8, 9 inches taller.
What's that?
Burn.
I understand it's burn, but which chemical burnt it?
Tavium.
No. Tavium was a long time ago. That's from our foliar we just had, dude. What did we put in the foliar that burned them?
Whoa.
You don't agree?
No, that's not on the...
That's the way they are in South Dakota when we burn them.
Look.
We hadn't done a lot of burn back. We're working with Corey on burning them back young. Temple's been doing it. So we're looking at that program. I think it's backspin. Is that right? But like I said, we started with this. This wasn't tagged as one of our high yield fields. And then as it grew and as it I mean, literally started putting nodes on at a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in between the in between the nodes. We thought we had something special. I'm still a little bit concerned with the height because they're only just a little bit over knee high. You know, I'd rather see them somewhere around my upper groin area to my belt buckle, and I don't think they're getting there.
But if the nodes are there,
Probably mid thigh high. Yeah, if we control a hold, that's the big thing.
if we control the holds and the nodes are there.
And you've got more evaporation when you have shorter bean. I'm not saying like a shorter bean. I don't know if I like this short of a bean. Next year we'd probably try the same thing. We'll have some 4-1s, we'll have some 4-8s. Hell, it depends. If these make 100 bushel or better, we may have all 4-1s early. I wish we would have.
You have 2,000 acres of 4-1s next year.
I wish we had 1,000 acres like this.
We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
But on our farm, we got to average a 6 bushel better with the Revitec fungicide than any other fungicide.
Probably absent of disease just because we got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
The one thing that is a must, that's this product right here. Reducing stress adds bushels.
Here at Advanced Yield, we're not only just a consulting company, but starting in 2021, we are now offering a full lineup of select crop inputs. A lot of good foliar feeding options with a bunch of stress relievers. Anything that has been tested and proven on our farm is now offered to you at a great low price. No middleman, it's just a simple call and ship directly to you. For the farmer, by a farmer. Unleash your crop's potential. Visit online or give me a call today. Ground definitely a lot softer. A little mellow. It's so wet. Pulled all the roots off. But we got good nodulation. Trying to compare the root mass to the other root mass on the other side is not going to be fair. So let's go off plant size. I'd say there's a pretty big plant size difference. So I guess my concern with going with Turbomax was delayed emergence. Looks like it was the other way around. But I will say this, so the reason being, I had my planter set a little bit deeper for the turbo till, and I left it the same here, so it made it go a lot deeper. So these beans on this side was planted more at that 2 1/4 inch. Those beans over there were planted more at that 1.5 inch, because the ground was a lot mellower and softer. So delayed emergence, not delayed emergence. Plant too deep on soybeans, not plant too deep on soybeans. So there's a lot more stories to tell than just the soil type. So this goes to show when you're going in different soil types, change your planting depth per soil type, or you end up like me. All right, so we're here in my playground here in my house where we always do something a little bit different. Last year, that's where we had to crosshatch soybeans. The year before that, we had the intercropping corn and soybeans. This field here hasn't been shown too much because it's been groomed in corn after corn after corn after corn for quite some time. We even tried some no-till corn. So this is actually, has not been hit with a chisel plow now for about 3 years. We've been trying to see the effects with the living biologicals. It got hit with a turbo till and then a cultivator because the fodder was pretty thick through here. But we was able to plant this pretty early. I think around April 16th or 17th we planted this. We did go a little bit higher on the population. Is about 130,000. We straight rated everything. They're 4.3 bean, which for Ohio in this area, it's a long bean. Normally I haven't done crap with anything over a 4.1. I can make them look pretty, but I just can't make them yield. So here we go again. We're gonna defy the definition of insanity and try it again one more time. So it's getting sulfur, it's getting anhydrous ammonia underneath it. And we're doing potash with it. It's been fully fertilized, both sides. And one of the neat things that we're seeing is we're getting the bean to nodulate early. So I want the beans to produce its own nitrogen. So I don't want to find it early. So hopefully it'll find the nitrogen later on in its life. It'll feel happy about it, feel good, and go on. Now, Temple did this on accident last year because of his dad, and we got talking. I've tried this a few years ago. I really couldn't get to work, and I was liking the things that he was seeing. It dawned on me that maybe I just haven't tried enough nitrogen on it, and so that's why we went with the 230 pounds. I know that's high, but I've tried the low end and I couldn't make it work. So I guess this is my final stab at it to try to make it work. Well, looky there. TikTok lied to me. You can use anhydrous ammonia and not kill all the earthworms. Oh my goodness. Go back home. Definitely good nodulation. So maybe people that's done this before, maybe it didn't work for them because they didn't use Terramax's new tech SIIF. Maybe if they'd have tried that, they'd have liked it better. But I'm loving what I'm seeing here. I mean, the root growth. Then another thing that we tried different with these beans, so the biological source on these beans, we put the Start Right 2.0, which is my go-to biological for corn, but we also put it on the beans. And just from what we dug up earlier, the beans that didn't have that, those beans did not have the Start Right, these do. And you can see the size difference on the roots, how much more hairs we got growing out already. So they're definitely synergistic effect. The way this has been set up, this gives me my best opportunity for this to work. So here we go to anhydrous ammonia soybeans 2022. With the soybeans with Terramax, we brought it out and instantly, man, I just couldn't believe the nodulation we had so early. Look at that. That root, look how much nodulation is already on there. And you have these little peanuts all the way down here that deep in the soil, around the roots here. That's a very good start. If you haven't heard of them, you better get to know them because their products are here to play.
I'm very fortunate that I've been working with Concept Agritech now for 4 years. We have 12 Concept Agritech plots out right now. We feel like we're picking up some pretty good bushels.
Oh, here's one of their flagship products here. This is their Cowboy product. It's their calcium boron premix. They do have a great line of products here. Man, this is like drinking water. I think every crop needs a gallon or two of it. It's just, it does that much for you.
We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
But on our farm, we got to average a 6 bushel better with the Revitec fungicide than any other fungicide.
Probably absent of disease just because we got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
The one thing that is a must, that's this product right here. Reducing stress adds bushels. We're trying to dress this up for you guys.
So, on our February planted beans, you look at this plant and you go, ooh, that's not very impressive. But what's impressive about this plant right now is at between, it's R3, 3 and 5, something like it's not R4 yet. This plant has 17 main stem nodes. It's not this tall. This plant has got a healthy stalk, the branches on it, I mean, just the typical soybean plant is gonna have a main stem and a branch usually. Look at all the branches that these beans have on there. And look at every one of those. Those are all additional noding positions that we can put on pods at. So if we're able to set pods on every node, this little old short bean at 17 nodes and still growing today is going to do the same thing as a bean that stands up here. You know, 2 years ago we were in this very field and these beans were right here at the same position.
And when we harvested them, they were
flat on the ground. And we left bushels in the field. We won't leave bushels in the field with this plant. I think we've created the perfect soybean plant, in my opinion. You know, the only thing that would make this plant more perfect if it had little signs on it right now that said, I'm gonna beat Temple Roads, I'm gonna beat Temple Roads.
When Rob and I were talking to Temple about about what to do. You know, how does he protect? What's the most protection he's got? He talked us into running 2 ounces. 2 ounces of Preaxor by BASF.
Well, I think there's two products. Number one, we put Preaxor in fur every time. And number two was we would always wild drop Cowboy by Concept Agritech. We was getting that calcium into that plant, getting a lot of calcium into that plant to help move those other nutrients around.
That's where I was getting at. I forgot about the Preaxor, but
yeah,
we always put that 1 shot of Cowboy out there wild drop, which is not what it's intended for.
It's a foliar product, but I get in trouble for saying this, so sorry Bert, sorry Trey. Guys, wild drop you some Cowboy. It's a foliar product, works great through your wild drops.
20 acres this field, 20 acres advanced yield field will get wild drop with Cowboy if everything goes as planned.
Audio, we're good to go.
All right, so this is the moment that we've been waiting for. This is what I think y'all came for today. I've got an old buddy up in Ohio, and he's 100% dry land, and he kicks my butt most of the time in beans and all the time in corn. And I'm down here 100% irrigated, and I can't keep up. So everything went perfect on them when we planted them. We've got Corey's in-fur on them. We did the burn back with the backspin on them. We've got a list of protocols of what we're supposed to do to them until this week. This week we came in here and sprayed, made a mistake, sprayed this field just like we sprayed the other fields with our grower standard practice, which is a mixture of about 7 different products. I called Corey and I said, look, we made a mistake. We sprayed your beans with our stuff. And he's like, don't worry about it. Come back at V5 and put mine on. Everything should be the same. So it may make them even a little better. We've got the full Monty out here as far as I know. I'm sure he's helped back a few secrets that we probably don't know about. But I think the proof's in the pudding when we walk out here and look. Like I said, you've been looking at February beans. So this is not going to look the same by no means. The plant stature is going to be a little different, but this plant is actually as tall or taller than the February beans, and they're not near about through. So, but this is pretty exciting. The cool thing is, you know, we talk about this all the time about the brotherhood between the Podfathers. I don't really think anybody cares who wins. I think everybody does kind of not want to be last, but you know, somebody's got to be first and somebody's got to be last. So I'll take last this year. But if this field's what I think it's going to be, I'll probably be middle of the pack. Beginning of the planting season was great. We had a pretty good little extreme amount of heat to the point that we triggered our own irrigation. You know, probably looking at the weather we've had now, we probably triggered it when we didn't have to. These have been irrigated once. Probably didn't have to irrigate them, but we got them looking good. We'll walk out here and look at some of them. Rob's out here now. My bug checker's out here looking around. Hey, bug checker, what you see? We got bugs. These have had an R3 application of fungicide of Revitec. They weren't quite R3 when we went over them, which we know we're taking a little bit of risk because there's a possibility that we'll have to come back to R5, R6 with another fungicide. Corey may trigger an extra fungicide here just because of the yield we're trying to make. But you know, looking at these versus the February beans, if we were on the lower end, these would be pretty much the same size as what we were looking at in the February beans. Did you get the plant date?
March 11th.
March 11th, okay. So they're pretty doggone close.